Spanda Karika Verse 8 and 9, the touch of self and the veil of limitation. Nahicha nodana syayam prerakattvena vartate apitva atmabalasparshat purushasta tatsamo bhavet is verse 8. Verse 9, Nijashuddhya samartasya kartavyeshva abhilashinaha yada kshobaha praliyeta tadasyat paramam padam. Let us begin with something very familiar. We believe that our actions are driven by desire. I want this, I don't want that. And based on this we act. But this verse makes a very bold statement. It says, desire is not the real driver of action. Then what is? The real driver. The verse declares it is not desire that propels action. It is touch of the self, Atma Bala. Desire arises in the mind. The mind pushes toward action. The intellect may evaluate and decide, but even after all this, something final remains, a subtle inner consent. Unless that consent is present, no action is completed. Observing directly. We can observe this in simple ways. You decide to walk 10 rounds, the intention is clear, the body begins, the mind supports. But somewhere along the way, the decision shifts. You stop earlier, even though the plan was different. Why? Because the inner touch has changed. The final movement does not come from logic alone. It comes from a deeper center. The center is the self. The key insight. So we begin to see something important. Desire is not the true driver. The mind is not the final authority. Even the intellect is not ultimate. The real strength behind all action is the touch of consciousness itself. This is Atma Bala. Let us transition to verse 9. Now a deeper question arises. If this inner power is always present, why do we not experience it fully? Why do we feel limited, conditioned, and unable to access this strength? This is where the verse 9 becomes crucial. Verse 9 describes that there is a veil. The verse says, because of certain impurity, a covering, we are unable to access this power. This cover is called Achutha. But let us understand this clearly. There are two ways of understanding this limitation. First, there is a veil, a kind of covering over our true nature. It is like a battery fully charged with power, but covered with an insulating cap. The energy is present, but it cannot flow. Second, there is how this appears in our experience. We begin to feel, I am this body, I am this role, I am this identity. This is the separate self. It is the egoist self, the small I. This small I is not the truth. It is the expression of the veil, the effect of the veil. Because of this covering, the infinite consciousness appears limited. We feel localized. This is me, that is outside me. But this is not the real nature of the self. It is only conditioned perception, the dissolution of disturbance. The verse says, when the agitation, kshobha, dissolves, the agitation is the constant identification. The restlessness of the mind, the pull of the desires and the roles, when this settles, something remarkable happens. The covering weakens, the underlying awareness becomes evident, and the kshobha dissolves. The expansion. Then one begins to recognize the consciousness is within me, is not confined to this body. It is not small, it is not limited. What appeared as my awareness is actually the same awareness present everywhere, like inside the pot and outside the pot. So the pot and space makes it clear. It's a simple image that makes this clear. Space is inside a pot, appears separate, but when the pot breaks, we realize the space was never confined. The limitation was only apparent. Similarly, when the veil drops, the small I dissolves and the infinite self is recognized. The big I is recognized. The climax is Paramam Padam. The verse concludes, that is supreme state, Paramam Padam. This is not something newly created. It is the recognition of what was always present. The self was never weak, never limited, never bound, only covered. So let us close this 8 and 9 with this thought and insight. Desires does not truly drive action. The real power is the touch of the self, but this power is not recognized because of a veil, a covering that expresses as the small I. When this covering dissolves, the infinite nature of consciousness becomes evident. The battery was always full. The cap is removed, the power flows, and one recognizes the strength behind all action was always the self. Om.